For most of us, Game of Thrones is perfect in every way, but oftentimes, for the fans of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, the HBO adaptation takes some unforgivable liberties. But who can resist watching? The show is one of the most exciting cultural phenomenon since The Sopranos, and is the reason many of us prefer TV to film nowadays. Now that it's coming to an end though, many of us are left wondering, how will our lives ever be the same without Daenerys, Jon Snow, the Starks, or the Lannisters? However, for the sake of the good old-fashioned book lovers, let's take a look at where the series deviated from the books and shouldn't have. As always, we look forward to your feedback. Fans of the books know that the Targaryens have very distinct purple eyes. Given the mystical quality of their leader, Daenerys Targaryen, it would make sense that this characteristic remained in the series. The most common eye color is violet, followed by lilac, and then indigo. This trait is relatively common in the Targaryen family, descendants of the High Lords of ancient Valyrian freehold. Having eyes different shades of purple represents the blood of Old Valyria, paired with hair of silver gold or platinum white. This shows that their blood is unlike that of any other men or women. In the book, Daenerys is described as follows. Look at her, that silver gold hair, those purple eyes. She is the blood of Old Valyria. No doubt, no doubt. Yet, legend has it that Emilia Clarke, while stunning as Daenerys Targaryen, felt uncomfortable wearing purple contacts. The producers agreed to drop this feature and let the actress appear in her natural eye color. Does it ruin the series? Certainly not. But it is a defining trait of the Khaleesi that could have easily been included. Also, given the fact that the GOT actors make a cool $500,000 per episode, what's a little discomfort? One of the most castigated characters in the series is without a doubt Jorah Mormont. The poor man loses his wife, goes into exile, is sentenced to death, and shares an unrequited love for Daenerys. On top of this, Jorah is infected with Greyscale, also known as Prince Garen's Curse, which is a fatal disease that leaves flesh stone-like, cracked, and flaking. Those who survive the illness, Jorah being the only one, are immune from contracting it again, but the flesh will never heal, and they will be scarred for life. Now, we all know that the series is unmerciful when it comes to inflicting pain on its protagonists, but for many fans of the books, the Greyscale infection was unnecessary and cruel. In the books, Jorah never encounters the Stone Men and therefore is never infected. Apparently, the rationale of the producers seems to be that Jorah is actually a hybrid of the character and Jon Cunnington, who in the books travels with Tyrion and is infected with Greyscale, just as Jorah is in the show. Regardless of their attempts to broaden Jorah's storyline, was it necessary to inflict further pain on the poor man? In the books, a Skinchanger is a person with the ability to enter the mind of an animal, control its actions, and see the world through their eyes. A warg is a Skinchanger who does this with wolves. To be honest, if Bran Stark didn't have this ability, he probably wouldn't amount to much of a character in the show. Yet, interestingly, in the books, Bran is not the only one with warg abilities. Both Jon Snow and Arya are also blessed with this power, though they never develop their capabilities. Instead, their warging is limited to dream sequences in which they inhabit the minds of their direwolf equivalents, Ghost and Nymeria. It is understandable that the producers of the series didn't want to complicate Jon and Arya characters further since they've got bigger fish to fry. For fans of the books, the omission is an insult to the true nature of the characters, who certainly have talents to spare, but unlike Bran, are mere mortals. Well, maybe not in Jon's case. In the series, Daenerys and Jon Snow are two Targaryens with a claim to the Iron Throne. Jon is the son of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, the late Prince of Dragonstone. He was believed for several seasons to be the bastard son of Ned Stark, when he is in fact Stark's and Daenerys' nephew. Confused? Yeah, me too. So Jon Snow's name was originally Aegon Targaryen, but in the books there was another Aegon Targaryen who was the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Elia Martell, and half-brother to Jon and nephew of Daenerys. In the books, Aegon and Rhaenys, Aegon's older sister, are brutally murdered along with their mother by Sir Gregor Clegane during the sack of King's Landing. If he had lived, Aegon would have ascended to the throne and ruled as Aegon VI. This character, who is said to be disguised as young Griff, is reportedly traveling to King's Landing to claim the Iron Throne. Though this possibility complicates matters, for fans of the books, it is a key plot point since it adds another layer to the story of the Targaryens. Further adding to the complexity of the family lineages, in the books, Quentin Martell, the eldest son of Doran Martell, is also making a play for the Iron Throne. Also, after Joffrey is crowned king, Doran Martell and his sons, including Quentin, are summoned to the court at King's Landing to swear loyalty to the Iron Throne. Quentin, who doesn't exist in the show, is proposed in the books by Doran as a potential husband for Daenerys. This union would join the Targaryen and Martell houses, creating a powerful force to overthrow the Lannisters. Although the plan never comes to fruition in the books, it's important for many fans, since at one point he tries to tame and steal 2 of Daenerys' dragons. Though things ultimately don't work out for poor Quentin, fans of the books would have enjoyed seeing this sequence of events on screen. The show does remain faithful to the books when it comes to the death of Viserys Targaryen. In the midst of all this family drama, Doran Martell is behind the scenes playing matchmaker again, attempting to set his daughter Aerion up with Viserys. In the books, the Secret Marriage Pact, an agreement signed in Braavos 10 years before the start of Game of Thrones, forges an alliance between House Martell of Dorne and exiled House Targaryen. The pact is intended to overthrow King Robert Baratheon and restore House Targaryen to the Iron Throne. The plan ultimately unravels after Khal Drogo kills Viserys. For book fans, it was an interesting plot point that would have given the Martells a little more screen time and provided at least some background to the relationship between the Martells and the Targaryens. But apparently, the show's producers could only handle so much subplot, so they did away with this entire storyline altogether. On the show, Daario Naharis, commander of the Stormcrows, is played by 2 different actors, though neither actor looks like the character that's described in the books. In the A Song of Ice and Fire series, Daario wears a beard that's cut into 3 prongs, which he dyes blue to match his hair. Meanwhile, his mustache is dyed gold. His appearance is meant to contrast the bold colors of his clothes. In the show, these distinctive characteristics are omitted. Perhaps the producers thought a more traditionally handsome Daario would be a better match for Daenerys. But for the book fans, the Daario of the show, however attractive he may be, is not the Daario of the books. One of the more memorable characters in the books is Strong Bellas, a eunuch Colossus and former slave who was bred and trained in Marine. In the books, Bellas, who was sent by Illyrio Mopatis to protect Daenerys, is portrayed as a massive man with gapped teeth, a shiny bald head, a huge chest, and an enormous belly. In the books, Bellas memorably says, "I let each man cut me once before I kill them. Count the cuts, and you will know how many Strong Bellas has slain." Unfortunately, in the show, there is no sight or mention of Bellas. We can only assume that it was a difficult role to cast, but given that the show features Gregor Clegane, aka the Mountain, perhaps the producers should have searched a little harder for someone to take the role of Belwas. The character who provides significant comic relief in the books would have been a nice foil to Daenerys' serious demeanor. Once again, the show downsizes the clans and omits certain characters that were very visible in the books. This is the case of Victarion Greyjoy, the youngest brother of Euron and Balon. In the show, we get a memorable Euron. However, there is no mention of Victarion, who in the books is the one to form an alliance with Daenerys. Victarion is described as large and muscular, with long dark hair, who wears plate armor with a kraken helm and wields a battle axe in combat. He is the first to toss a torch onto the flagship of Lord Tywin Lannister, and later survives the rebellion to serve as Lord Captain. Also, Victarion kills his 3rd wife after she is seduced and impregnated by Euron, though he spares his brother due to the taboo against kinslaying. Given how charismatic Euron is on the show, it would have been interesting to see more of the character and his relationship with his siblings. The Red Wedding is one of the most unforgettable episodes, yet there is more to the story than what the show gave us. In the books, after Catelyn Stark is killed, she is resurrected by Lord Beric and becomes Lady Stoneheart, a vengeful and merciless killer. The description of Lady Stoneheart in the books is terrifying. Her flesh is described as soft and the color of curdled milk. Half of her hair is gone and the rest is white and flaky. Also, her wounds have not healed. Her face is covered in scratch marks and her throat is slit open. In order to speak, Lady Stoneheart has to cover the wound on her throat, but even then, she is hard to understand. Fans of the books remember that Lady Stoneheart provides many thrilling action scenes as she assumes leadership of the Brotherhood Without Banners, finding and executing anyone believed to be a Lannister ally. Even George R.R. Martin has been outspoken about the omission of Lady Stoneheart in the show, saying that she'll be, quote, very important in The Winds of Winter, the 6th book in the series. Perhaps the producers of the show thought that Lady Stoneheart as a non-human character would have been a distraction. While her surviving children are already on a mission to avenge their parents' deaths, her presence would have been welcome if only as revenge for the horrors of the Red Wedding. Given the complexity of a Song in Ice and Fire series, it's understandable that the show had to make some adjustments in order to adapt the series onto the screen. If all the characters and scenes from the books were shown, the HBO series would last for 50 years. Not that I'd mind, but at some point, Jon Snow and Daenerys may look a little worse for wear. Now that we've shared what we miss most from the books, let us know which plot points you can't live without. Also, don't forget to subscribe to The Binger for more great content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Winterfell.